Hello, everybody, and welcome to the D Line, soon to be everyone's favorite football podcast in Mzansi. My name is Malbongo Mdletshe. With me to speak football today, we've got the legendary Herman Gibbs and Mihlali Balega, our top football scribes at IOL. Without taking it any further beyond, maybe Mihlali was at Bloemfontein. We were enjoying the Bafana Bafana escapades there when they won 2-0 against Lesotho and drew 1-1 against Nigeria. Just to give us the reactions there, your side, Mihlali, and then maybe Mr. Gibbs can further give us something on the Mukwena saga going forward. Just a quick one, gents.
Yes, good day, gentlemen, and great to be back. Not only on the podcast, but from Bloemfontein, I think, as our host has already said. Sorry, what a beautiful spectacle from our boys. I mean, of course, we went into that game against Lesotho, if you recall, with some sort of uncertainty hanging over our heads, especially after Lesotho said that they might, or they will protest rather, if we played Tebogo Mokoena, having been eligible when we played Lesotho in March. But yeah, Coach Hugo Bros showed that he was the man in charge and played Mukwena, and the boys delivered. We got the result that we wanted, 3-0 win. And yeah, but also our character was obviously going to be tested against Nigeria in the second game. Remember, this was not only about 3 points or keeping the momentum to qualify for the World Cup, but it was also about facing our rivals. And what an excellent fight that was put up by the young boys, because we didn't have the bulk of our players. So whereas they didn't have Victor Osimhen was injured, but yeah, it was a good result for Bafana Bafana. That's just put us in pole position to actually qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup in North America. So it was an excellent FIFA window period for our boys, and we're looking forward to next month. In the two clashes against Zimbabwe and Rwanda.
Yeah, thanks, Mihlali. Mr. Gibbs.
Yeah, no, look, I must say that we were all very, very surprised at the performance of Bafana against Nigeria. I mean, from the word go, Nigeria tried to bully our boys. Though we were much smaller in stature, our boys let their feet do the talking. It made them look silly at times, running rings around them, and they started resorting to wrestling tactics, trying to pull our poor young chaps down. And
Yeah,
at one stage, it looked quite ugly. And the referee also, he didn't do too much about it. He just allowed it to carry on. But later in the match, it did so. As time goes on, we are seeing more and more the value of Hugo Bruce as a coach. And we can only hope that in our next match, we can put this thing to bed. Beat our neighbors, Zimbabwe, give them a good hiding, and we can celebrate and start thinking about packing our bags for the USA, Canada, and Mexico.
yeah,
So that's the plan. And the fact that the FIFA has sent out a tweet saying that if this happens, if that happens, they one has got to say that there's no plans to take action against South Africa for
South
playing a
Africa.
player that was ineligible back in March.
Yeah. Now that's the truth we have to live on, and hopefully, we are reading the right words between those lines about Mukwena and the sanction of FIFA. Guys, the big one though this weekend is the MTN8. We've got Stelis on a grudge match against the defending champions, Orlando Pirates, who are looking for to win it for the fourth time. Meshale has already indicated he will be there. But looking at that, I mean, would those Pirates have what it takes to actually win this one and continue the legacy?
Well, if
I
I
think
can just come in here because I'm sure Michelle has got much more to say than me. But at this stage, I'm thinking that Stellenbosch are in with a chance of an upset. I think that Pirates'
Mhm.
preparations were disrupted by the fact that all their players weren't there, and we've seen what happened to Mamelodi Sundowns in the past.
Yeah,
They could be taken out by much weaker teams because they didn't have their players there when the team prepared. I mean, these players are Pirates, all seven of them that played for Bafana and the one that played for Namibia. They were all game changers. But if they arrive there, feeling a bit out of sorts, feeling a bit lagged, weary, don't have the energy in the legs. I think this Stellenbosch team can run you off your feet because they they are also very strong finishers. One of the strong points of this Stellenbosch team has been ever since they're in the top flight has been their physical condition.
Yeah, yeah.
They are superbly fit, and that's one of the reasons why they've lost 2 or 3 people to other clubs on the technical staff because they're so good at doing that. They've got this facility there, like a sports science facility, and they do a tremendous job in keeping the players fit. And they even have machines that can predict if a player is going to pick up an injury, a hamstring, or whatever. So I think Stellenbosch is in with a chance. And I think that although the Pirates coach said, look, doesn't bother him, that he has been talking. I think, guys, we could be on the verge of an upset and also denying Pirates a chance of winning the thing for the 4th successive time. Ishali?
Yeah, Mr. Ngwa.
100%, Mr. Gibbs. I think you've nailed most of the parts, but also maybe what I want to maybe just add from Pirates side is the fact that they've got some players that have come back into to training. I mean, Kosnade CBS is back, Maketlin Makaula is back, Patrick Masangane is back. So a number of players that Pirates were actually missing in the last few games are actually back and actually available for this game. So should push come to shove and then Coach Ward is not able to start some of his international players, I think they've got suitable replacement in his team. But it will be important for him to actually not overlook whatever that Jose was doing in the last finals rather, because this was a guy that actually mastered how to win an MTN8 final, having not lost any since he arrived in the country. So another point could be the fact that Relebohile Mofokeng didn't play in both games against Lesotho and Nigeria. And you remember that in the last finals, he was always more or less a trump card for Jose. He wouldn't start, those big games, come in the second half and actually maybe turn the game around. So it's one of those things that maybe Wadu has to consider going to this one. I'm not saying that the tactics of Jose would work for him, but it's always, not to fix what's not broken. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting final. I think, like Mr. Gibbs has already alluded, is the fact that Stellis only had one player that was away, and that was Tabumai Losane. He was injured against Lesotho, if you recall, but the Bafana team doctor said that he's going to be okay, and he was actually in condition to play against Nigeria, but he didn't. So him going back to the team, Stellenbosch, I think he will start the game. But yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting game, and there's just a lot at stake. Paris are looking for also their third win over Stellenbosch in this competition. You remember they met in the semi-final, and then there was a final, and then now it's another final. And like Mr. Kaizer said, it's a grudge match, especially after the controversial, loss at Moses Mabhida Stadium last season.
It's a grudge match indeed, but it's also a legacy match for the Buccaneers. Talking about Relebohile Mofokeng and him not being used in the two Bafana matches, some have also called it a Coco Million final, looking at all the, the young stars that are going to be there ready to shine. Our comrade Smiso wrote a nice story about it yesterday. In fact, mentioning a few of the players that have shown for both sides. I mean, Begazile Mboka's story is is clear, is out there. Relebohile Mofokeng story is out there, but then you've got Lebones Yema coming through and shining. You've got Langreche Pile Staley is also coming through and shining. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a very energetic final when you look at those names and maybe others that you can recall from from the ranks of both clubs, the youngsters that will be adding energy and the X factor to it. Do you share the same sentiments there, Michele?
100% I do. I just hope that, with Kosnade CBC, the captain of Paris, now back and available for selection, it doesn't mean that Olibone Siema will be dropped, because I think the boy has come in since he arrived at the club from TS Galaxy and, has grabbed the opportunity with both hands. But at the same time, you look at what Coach Wadu thinks, is he going to risk it, and is going to start, someone who hasn't maybe played in the cup final before compared to CBC, who's been there in the last finals at Paris. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I just hope that, the boy's morale is not just depends just because of the return of the captain. But going to Stelly's side, Pili has done well. I think whenever that he comes on, he always has an X factor in him because he's able to turn the game around, gets the much-needed goal for Pirates. So Coach Steve Barker will be looking at him as someone that can make an impact from the bench and actually get the much-needed goal. So whoever is going to be in defense, I think for both sides, and whoever is going to be in attack for both sides has to be very mindful of these young players because they will be coming at them like nobody's business.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Gibbs, do you want to share a few words there? Or should I take you to the next one? Because something
Yeah, I'll go to the next one. I think Michelle has covered our bases there very well.
There's something very interesting that I feel that you'll be most valuable to give us insight on. Kaizer Chiefs announced the 11th signing of the season, Kaizer Samayo. But before we talk deeply about his impact and maybe looking at all the signings, as a note held, maybe you'd have some much insight to share for us here. The stat shows that he becomes the fifth sort of generation or fifth in the group rather for the players or father and sons of Amakosi. Remember, Kaizer Junior and Kaizer Senior played for the big club, and you've got Eliakim and Dr. Kumar who played for the big club. Then you've got Eskom and the father of Morgan Gold also played for Amakosi, and Fabian and currently Aiden who also played for Amakosi. The reason I'm saying, Mr. Gibbs, you would have so much to say because I believe you did see the likes of Kaizer Senior and Eliakim and Ace Ngomo playing there. Maybe you've got a few words to share for us on that legacy.
Yeah, that's one part that the Amakosi family will enjoy because they live on the past. They still thrive on what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a nice thing, and I'm sure once he makes his appearance, his father will be there, the uncles will be there, all the old players will be there, and probably a lot of the names that you mentioned, some of their relatives will be at the match, and Chiefs will do something about it. It would be good mileage for the club.
Yeah.
But we see that he was out of favor in Algeria. But it might be that he wasn't, sometimes with these players, the coach doesn't use him properly. And it all depends on how he's going to fit into this and how the new coach will have him use him. And, there's already fears that he might be working. That's the former Stellenbosch boy, the Ashley Dupree, might be working him out of position. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Indeed, indeed. And then, Michelle, like Mr. Gibbs was saying, there's a lot of juggling that is going to happen now. There was the 11th signing of Kaizer Chiefs during this period, following an experience Mabua there. I mean, it's going to be, he does bring an experience of playing CAF football, which will be an advantage for Dazwitinabi as they play in CAF. But now, what has happened? How does the structure look when you are looking at Kaizer Chiefs with Kanye Somaya and Mabua?
I think it's going to be a very interesting season for Coach Nasruddin Nabi. Remember last season he was I don't want to say complaining, but he was just maybe highlighting the fact that he doesn't have enough depth to actually compete. But I think for the first time now since his arrival, the club has bolstered the squad with a lot of very good players. So he should be able to compete, and especially going into those attacking options, I think, which is where they were primarily lacking last season to actually get into the final third and actually score some goals. So look at it also Godaro as well, Fabio Silva. Of course, those players, there's a mixed emotions around them, whether or not they are fit for the club, but they need to prove that. And the only way doing that is actually on the field. And Kaizer Mayo, you remember before he even went to Algeria, there were rumors that were linking him to Chiefs, but that move never actually went through. Now he's back, and can he actually manage to deliver? Well, that's the question that's on everybody's lips at the moment. But I'm just concerned about the progression of the youngsters, to be quite honest. What's going to happen to those players that were promoted, recently, that recently went with the team to the Netherlands? Are they going to be shifted to the side, returned to the TTC, or what? How is this all going to work out? Yes, sure, Chiefs need to compete, get trophies, but it's always important to see the progression of youngsters, especially for a club like Chiefs, because Kanyisama covers a lot of areas. He could be a winger on a good day, he could be a number 9, a 10. whatever position that you think of up front. But I just hope that they still know space and time to actually give these young boys who maybe just join, for instance, Luke Batman, Arsenal Velipai, Yomfundo Vilagazis, Naledi Hlongwane, I think Turan Mabasa, you name them. There's just a lot of them. So I just hope they won't be pushed to the side. There will still be time for them to actually be given a run and try to show what it is that they have to offer the club.
Yeah, no, the point made there. I think it's also going to depend on the base that they set themselves, from the start of the season, from the start of the Champions League. I mean, the Cape Confed. Once you get good results, then you have a chance to say, no, we can blood in the youngsters here and there. Because now, if the results are not coming, you're going to have keep, stressing on the experienced guys to get the results. So far, they've built the base, and for their advantage, the youngsters, it will continue so. But then let's move forward. There is Kaizer Chiefs are playing Sekhukhune United midweek on Tuesday, which is the top of the table clash. But before you get to that one, Sundowns will be playing Magesi on Sunday, and then they follow with Gallants on Wednesday. We look at that and you feel like things are kind of aligned for Sundowns to summit the log. Would you say, because they've got this extra match, whereas everyone else will be playing one match in this little cycle? Can you say something about Sundowns there? Would you, looking at the opponent like Gallants and Magesi Sundowns, is that 6 points for Sundowns?
Well, let's see. Sundowns have been a bit unsettled, and this might be the opportunity to settle down. They've had a bit of a break now. The coach would have worked with some players while the others were away. So we're hoping to see a much more settled Sundowns team play against Magesi. Magesi, are unlikely to extend them, but we've seen that Magesi can be a very unpredictable team. So, and as regards to the Chiefs Sekhukhune match, Sekhukhune has been playing very well. They've produced some solid performances under Eric Tinkler. Kaizer Chiefs have gone great guns. They haven't conceded a goal in the Premiership yet, but it looks like this could be they could be in line to suffer their first defeat of the season, because they haven't been all that convincing, even though winning 5 out of 5. If you look at the stats, 1 or 2 matches could have gone the other way. And maybe this is the time now when the match will go the other way. Bishali?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Mr. Gibbs, it's going to be quite an interesting one. Especially, I think with Sundowns, we've covered all the basics, given all that has been said with your Lucas Ribeiro's players that are not playing. And I think the interesting part of it, and also maybe what is going to be important now for Coach Miguel Cardoso, is that at training we've seen that, by now, Khuliso Mutau might have actually got his rhythm back after not starting the season. I think there was a snippet of Tembers one at back at training after he was injured against Paris in the first leg of the MTN8 semi-final. So yeah, there should be some momentum going, and with no reported injuries from their side coming from Bafana camp and the under-20s, so they should have a fully fledged squad. And Peter Shalulile as well was on form during the FIFA window. I think he scored a hat-trick. It was on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And with Chiefs, yeah, they haven't been at their best, but they've done what's needed to be done. And I suppose that's what is needed for a club that is actually serious about collecting points now. Because look at where they are with the number of points. They've already got 13 out of 15. So already the tally that they finished with last season is almost halved. So if they continue with that in the next 5 cycles or so, try to get as many points as they possibly can. Who knows what will happen comes when they hit the 15th game mark? They could be well and above everyone else. But like Sekhukhune won't be easy. They are not top of the log just because it's everyone's fun. They've shown that they can get results, especially in crucial games. Remember, they beat Paris as well. Coming going into them, getting top of the log position. So they would want to continue that against another Soweto rival and actually get those much needed points. But Coach Eric Tingler, believes that it's got assembled a strong squad. It's about discipline now. It's about the players adhering to what he wants. And let's see what happens on Tuesday night at the FNB.
It sounds like we can almost put a wager on it because Mr. Gibbs was outright saying that Kaizer Chiefs could be could be having their first defeat of the season, and you yourself are saying now Skukuni are not going to be easy. It sounds like you're saying that you are going with Chiefs on this one. Already, Mr. Gibbs is clear he's going with Skukuni on this one. Anything to give the fans or to give the panda out there? Yeah, that's your
Well,
predictions. Put
The
your
home
hand on the
game
block for this
for
one.
Chiefs. So
for the Chiefs match, I'm saying it's going to be 1-0, but Sundowns will win 2-0.
Okay, Michelle?
Chiefs will win and Sundowns will win.
Okay, cool. We're not done yet. We are still moving to Durban. We are seeing Durban City in the battle of the new boys. They're hosting Swelele. Yeah, Swelele started like a house on fire on that game against Golden Arrows, but things have since not gone their way. I mean, and here on the side, you've got Durban City, you've got probably the most experienced bunch in the dugout, and then they are trying to make Chatsworth Stadium a fortress. It can almost be said that that's a win for Durban City.
Yeah,
Is the kid there?
I think that I think Durban City will be improving under Gavin Hunt. I think he needs more time. I don't think he's got all the players that he wants, but I think they're going to be improving. And Sewiller, they still leaning very heavily on the Super Sport United connection. There's lots of input there from those fellows. But whether it's going to be enough for the match against Durban City, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
My gut feel tells me that Durban City will win that one.
Yeah. Michelle, I think the point that Mr. Gibbs was making, those players at Suelele, Kevin Hunt has coached most of them. I mean, what's the game plan they go against your former coach, an experienced tactician?
Yeah. That's true. Coach Kevin, remember before he was said, actually towards the end of last season, he was actually the coach at SuperSport United, but he's since moved on. But yeah, it could go either way. I mean, Coach Kevin could have, playing up his tricks for the new boys, or his former players could actually go there and saying that we know what Coach Kevin Hunt was teaching us, and then we just we just need to counter that. And yeah, there are a couple of big names as well, to be quite honest. Your Vincent Pulis, Ran Magaman, you look at some of the players that played for former clubs such as Christian Sailo was a Chiefs, as well. So I think it's just up to them to take the honors to them and to show that they can be able to still compete and grind for results. Because for a team that has only didn't change much, to be quite honest, in terms of the playing personnel, in terms of the coaching personnel, because only the coaches knew, the technical team, your Andre Arenses are still there, the goalkeeper coach, I think Grant Johnson is still there. In the hierarchy as well, your Stan Matthews are still there. So there's a sort of momentum, but they haven't been able to get that, especially away from home. I think, I'm not sure whether, not having those passionate fans is actually counter against them. But yeah, they need to understand that even without, their 12 men, they need to get, those results. And Pele, who, where his bread was once buttered, it's going to be quite an interesting spectacle. So let's see what the game has in store for us.
Yes, no, thanks for that. And another big match, I think, will be Amazulu hosting Stellenbosch midweek as well. Stellies will be coming from a big final against Lino Pirates. And one can even argue that it's going to, take some physical aspect from them to actually go to Durban and compete with Amazulu. But then Amazulu have not really had a good head-to-head against Stellenbosch. Maybe looking at that one, Mr. Gibbs, would you say maybe Amazulu
Yeah, it's always difficult when
chance?
you're coming back from a match like a final. It's been very draining, lots of emotion, and it takes something really special to get you in the proper frame of mind. It also a lot depends if Stellenbosch loses. Then that detracts a lot from the team's morale. On the other hand, if they beat Pirates and go off as the reigning MTN8 champions, that will be a formidable morale booster. They'll be up there in the clouds. By the time they play Amazulu, they'll be running them off their feet. They'll still be buzzing. Arthur Zwane wouldn't know what's happening with his team. So I think that a lot depends on what happens in the final. if we want to, assess the performance of the Stellenbosch. Mishali?
It's always tricky there, Michelle, before you go, because Mr. Gibbs talks about if they win, they'll probably be on high spirits. One can also say maybe they'll have a bit of a hangover from the celebrations.
Yeah. I cannot overlook that. Remember when Pirates won the last MTN final? They came home to play against in the Carling knockout, and then what happened?
Hey, football can roll.
Yeah, and then what happened? So yeah, it's one of those. I mean, yeah, it's going to take a toll, obviously, on the team to have traveled from Stellies, then to Mbombela, and then to Durban. But yeah, there should be a time for Coach Adazwane to look at this game, as more or less, their time to actually get one over still is, because they are well rested. It's been more than 2 weeks since they last played, and this is a team that now would have been fresh from a very, grueling match in the MTN8 final. So, if others one is really serious about actually challenging for a top 4 spot this season, I'm not saying that he has to beat Steelers to actually get there, but these are the sort of matches where they need to show their hunger and determination to actually say that we can also compete against the big boys and actually challenge for their spots. Because Steelers are not like any ordinary team. They are a top 3 team that should be known and registered. And so a good showing against, Steelers doesn't need, any sort of motivation. It should be something that you go there and actually say that if you want to actually play in the same circle as these big boys, then these are the type of games where we need to show that we can go there, match them pound for pound, and actually grind for the results.
Now, you make a good point there about the hangover, because, we must remember this Stellenbosch team is also known as the team from the winelands. And if they win, there will be shortage of celebrations. The wine will be flowing.
The wine will be flowing, champagne will be poured.
But I must tell you that this Stellenbosch team, although they're from the winelands, they don't touch wine. They just drink grape juice. That's all they do.
Yeah.
That's why they're so sober-minded.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mr. Gibbs. Maybe before we close it, any offerings that you would urge people to look out for on the IOL?
I think the big thing today for the IOL football lovers will be the outcome of the MTN8 final this evening. I'm busy with my news piece now, and I've painted a very romantic picture saying that as the sun sets on this Mbombela Stadium, it's going to be, the sold out signs went up 10 days ago.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that Mishali will be in the crowd to witness this grand occasion. Stellenbosch and Pirates in the MTN8 final will be one of the highlights of the year.
Yes, no. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Thank you very much. People who can catch the D-Line podcast as part of the Clutch independent medias or IOL's YouTube channel, sports YouTube channel. So go on there, check the Clutch, and follow us on our socials, and also buy our papers, and you will find the QR code to scan there, so you can go straight to the Clutch on YouTube. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Over and out.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Sharp.